All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The treacherous three tonight. STK, the treacherous three. We got Ed Dollars in the building. We got
What's up, guys? What's up?
We got Wall Street Heck in the building.
What's
You know what I'm
up?
saying, and I'm back from I'm back from load management. I feel good to go. I got cleared. Ed and Wall Street cleared me to come out tonight.
This guy came out of quarantine. He was trying to get Kyrie to get vaccinated. Him and Kyrie were trying to get vaccinated.
I tried. He told me that I had to say that the earth was flat. I was like, nah, I'm not doing
He's
that.
the voice of the voiceless.
Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for joining us. We got a great show for you guys tonight, episode 9 of STK. Knicks doing their thing so far. Y'all better pay close attention. Knicks are 3-0 in the preseason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, baby.
They're doing their thing. I'll leave it to you guys to kind of fill that out. Tibbs might be overdoing it with the minutes a little bit, but overall, they're playing good, man. They're looking good. They're shooting the ball. They actually, to me, in my opinion, it's the sharing of the ball. They're really generous with each other this year. They're looking good. But when we start off with tonight's show, I want to get you guys' thoughts on the first 3 games of the preseason. What were your thoughts? And you don't have to, you can summarize it to 3 games. You could pick one game in particular, whatever you guys want to do. But let's start off with you, Wall Street. What were your thoughts on their first set of games in the preseason? How are they looking for you?
Kevin Knox jump shot looks like he made definitely improvements. It's smooth. So
Okay.
The way the ball is coming out, the way the ball is in flight, the way he's setting his feet. So I think that's going to be a big takeaway going forward to see what kind of player he's going to develop into. But yeah, if he can do that, and he has the size and the length to he just has to want it on defense. And if he gets there, so I think that's a big takeaway. We got to see that Jericho Sims looks pretty strong. It looks like he's going to be able to gobble up some big rebounds. He looked really strong, and he has a demeanor about him. He's out there just playing basketball. He's not talking to the refs. He's not doing anything. Like, he's almost like a robot, but he looks really strong,
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that Taj Gibson is really going to kind of like the way for him. If he's receptive and Taj Gibson gets in his head, because guys like that just got to get box out on everything. Always look for an opportunity to box out. If you can't get your body on your man, he's too far. You should always be somewhere near him. If he's lagging off for you, get on him if you're not part of the offense. And make sure that when the ball comes up, you got your body on your man. And then you gobble up a lot of offensive rebounds. And let me tell you, offensive rebounds could win a game. You could look down at a stat sheet and you can see the teams evening out. They have the same amount of assists. They have the same amount of points in the paint, fast break points. Their turnover numbers look the same. So you start to look for a difference. And you see one team won by like 11 points. And sometimes it comes out just there. We won the offensive rebound battle. We grabbed 20 offensive boards tonight. And we won by 10, 15 points because of it. So you can lead your team by getting those boards. So I think we saw that. And, and Tibbs, he's practicing for the playoffs. He's coaching like he's coaching, game 1 of the playoffs. So, we'll see what happens with that. Usually you want to see young guys developing, but we're not seeing that. We're seeing the general gist of it, and he's trying to get them in rhythm. So,
yeah. Definitely. Ed Dollars, what's going on?
What up, guys? Yo, the Knicks look good, man. The last couple games, it was a tale of two. The last 2 games were polar opposite games to me. The game against the Wizards, Walker played, but Julius didn't play, and they threw up 52 3-pointers.
They let it fly.
They were letting it fly. The ball was moving everywhere. You could really see, Walker and Rose, how they push the offense. I think Rose is better served on the bench. He has a real dynamic He has dynamic play with the bench guys. Well, Walker really pushes it. Evan Fournier was shooting shots. You know, RJ was doing what RJ does, passing, rebounds, points. And Julius, well, in that first game he didn't play, but you know, Obi was flying up and down the court. Yeah. I loved it. You know, the offense was dynamic, and that's what I want to see. In today's game, on the other hand, Julius did play and Walker was out, and you can see it was like more of a slog fest. You know, Taj Gibson was in there. They didn't. The starting unit didn't go up and down. In fact, the starting unit was not very good in the first half. RJ was terrible the entire game, and then Julius picked it up in the second half. So today's game was akin to what happened last year, where the offense really came from Julius, while the game against the Wizards, you can see the dynamic pieces that we had, shooting more threes, quickly was into it. So, you know, on a go for it basis, I hope we played like the Wizards game versus today's Pistons game. And Taj's and Coach Tibbs' behalf. I mean, yo, it's the preseason, man. You got to coach for the preseason, not the regular season. The preseason is to get your guys warmed up, you know, to go up and down the court to win, but really winning strategies. And as an organization, winning strategies is to evaluate all the players on your roster to see who's going to be capable of being trusted, to see who's not capable of trusted. But if you're going to play, you know, Julius 35 minutes and RJ 32 minutes. I mean, you know, what are we doing here? What are we analyzing? I was very happy and very pleased with Knox's play. I was very pleased with Obi's play. Today, you see that, you know, Knox came in as a 3. He came in for Burks. And in the last game, he came in for Obi. You know, he was playing a power forward. So this guy's interchangeable. Again, Walker didn't play. Noel didn't play. Mitch didn't play. So the likelihood of Knox playing is very low. If any time kind of comes up, is going to be Burks' time or Obi's time. Yeah. RJ, you know, we have a lot of faith in RJ. RJ played well in that Wizards game. You know, he had 12 points. RJ had 18 points in that Wizards game, but today he had 12 points on 3 of 11 shooting, 1 for 5 from 3-point line. Yeah. You know, one thing about RJ is I want him to be more aggressive to the 10. I want him to attack. And you can really tell if he's attacking by the free throws he's taking. And, you know, I think he's got into his mind that he should be this all-around player, distribute, rebound, assist. Sometimes you got to be able to take it. And right now, in the last couple of games, he hasn't been taking it the way I want him to. And I'm worried that's going to, you know, I'm worried about that. You know, part of his development is I want him to get in the 20-point range. Yeah, to grab a couple more rebounds and to pass it more. But I definitely want him to be aggressive offensively. He's definitely doing well defensively, but offensively is where I want to see the development. But all in all, I'm pleased, man. I think the Knicks are doing well. You know, I wish they continue playing the way they played like the Wizards. But beyond that, I think it's you know, we should be all excited for the upcoming season.
Definitely. I think you don't want to say what the truth is, and that the Knicks are thriving in today's offense. If you look at the Wizards, that's a current offense. RJ's it's able to get to the bucket. Why? Because the lanes are less clogged. Why? Because you got shooters spreading the floor. RJ was doing whatever he wanted in that game. And was able to guard Beal when Beal was in because he had the energy, because he's pretty much able to kind of get in, do what he needed to do, get back on defense. He had the shooters shooting. They looked like a current offense. But tonight, it looked like last season.
Yeah.
That's not going to get you out the first round, unfortunately. No. It's not going to get you out the first round. I mean, I'm just being, you know, I'm looking and I saw the Wizards game. I was like, yo, if this is how they're going to play this year,
I was very happy.
Trouble, because they play defense and they were letting it fly. They were playing really well. Tonight, it looked like a sludge fest. Totally. Okay. Like it looked like you had, and then, you know, Tibbs got guys playing 30 minutes. It's like, what are you trying to do? I wanted to see McBride. I wanted to see Grimes get in there. I wanted to see guys, youth, see what they could do. But what were they, I don't know. I think it definitely does show, though, that they can win any kind of game now. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, which is good in a sense. But, Ed, do you think they can win with the same offense like last year?
I mean, they could definitely win with the same offense as last year because we did win with the same offense as last year. We were the number 4 seed. But can we, we have higher expectations than last year, right? So if we continue playing like last year, we'll barely make the playoffs. And, we were a game or two away from the play-in tournament and 3 games away from not being in the playoffs. And we got killed by the Hawks. So, we didn't bring in Walker and Evan Fournier and re-sign Burks to continue like last year. You know what I'm saying? That's where the development comes into play. Obi is more confident. Quickly is more confident. We didn't hire a analytics strategist for the front office, 2 of them, to continue playing like last year. You know what I'm saying? So they know that they have to be in the modern NBA and play that way. Last year we needed Randall to be Randall. And truth be told, we needed last year to happen so that Randall could have had the confidence to be the Randall of now and tomorrow. Because what today taught you is that this year, Randall's going to get his 27, 26 points. Oh, yeah. Randall's going to be in the conversation of, all NBA, all-star. You know what I'm saying? Fringe, but definitely in the conversation, which is very important for the Knicks as a whole. So, but we got to move forward, man. And the part of the moving forward is RJ has to step it up. Yep. Today, Fournier didn't play so well either. And I was a little worried about that. His shots weren't coming down. He wasn't really doing much. Right. And maybe that has something to do with Walker not being in the lineup. But I definitely don't think they can definitely win like last year, but they don't want to win like last year.
Yeah. I don't think they make it out the first round playing like that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. I think, I think it'll make it really hard on that team, on the next team, to have to play like that. You have the talent now to kind of really spread the floor and do some things, that we haven't really seen in this city in a minute. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's a good showing in the first 3 games though, and it's hopefully greater things to come.
And one last point, you had, we played the Detroit Pistons, right? And those guys were playing not the subs, but the subs, the third stringers. And the third stringers are trying to make the roster. So those guys were playing as hard as possible. And when your vet team is playing and you're playing against a hungry young guy that's trying to make a wage, make a living in the NBA, it's not going to work out well. And Tibbs should have kind of realized that. Yeah. I'm glad no one got hurt today, but someone could, Derrick Rose bumped knees, Amir Sims bumped knees. I mean, that today was definitely a could have got hurt game.
Yeah. Shout out to Hamidou Diallo, Queens native on the Pistons. Glad he's on a team. All right.
I like him too. He must be a knucklehead.
Kid could jump, but he can't do anything else. You ain't got to translate it to other things, but the kid can jump out the building, man. So moving on to the next segment. So we're talking about, I need to know from you fellas, in your opinion, who's earning who's earning their minutes in during the first 3 games? Who do you guys, either it's a starter, 6-man, who have you guys watched and felt like, okay, this guy is going to be a contributor or whatever, who's going to be on the plus side of the plus minus for you guys going into the season? And let's start with you, Ed, because you're a big plus minus guy.
I mean, looking at the roster, we got our mainstays, right? We got RJ, right? And we got Randall. Those guys are going to be playing on the plus side no matter what. They're going to be playing 30 minutes a game. You got Walker, who played well in that game I was talking about earlier. Got to play him. You got Rose, who's the general for the subs. I mean, at points in the game, he's our best player, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And then it gets kind of murky after that, right? We haven't seen Mitch. We haven't seen Noel. So out of the rest of the guys, who has really stood out? I gotta say, Knox has stood out to me. I know Knox has stood out. And I'm watching this guy intently, and I'm like, yo, let me see what I see. Like, I'm trying to see what I see from Knox, and I'm like, yo, is this guy trash? And I don't see trash. I see a guy that realizes his opportunity, and he's working. He's shooting the ball well. I mean, today he had a beautiful rebound. He threw it down the court. Burks caught it. He threw it to Obi for the alley-oop. It was a bang play. Burks is another one that, Burks is okay. He played a better game today than he did the last 2 games.
Right.
And Obi's been playing well too. Obi's been flying down the court. Again, I'm under the impression that the way the Knicks currently play is not conducive to the way Obi plays. And I wish that if we had more of a pass first point guard, Obi would average like 20 points a game in another team, because he's flying up and down the court. He's throwing his hand up. He's waiting for the alley-oop. You know what I'm saying? So, I definitely think those guys would play well, in a bubble, and looking at Quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly's been hot and off, on and off.
Mm-hmm.
He was good the last game, but he was not good today. He was not good at all today. He had multiple turnovers. He had 3 to 4 fouls. He came across a buzzsaw. He came across young guards that really wanted it, that wanted to keep their jobs. And today he looked overwhelmed. But we all saw Quickly last year. Quickly, if your question is based on what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing, I'm like, Quickly needs to improve based on what I just saw the last couple games.
Yeah.
He definitely needs to improve, but Tibbs has a lot of faith in Quickly, and I suspect that Quickly will be in the lineup. And that's it, right? I mean, once Mitch and once Noel comes, and those guys are gonna get the lion's share of the minutes, someone's gonna drop out, and unfortunately, Knox has this bad rep about no defense. And, standing around being terrible. I'm not seeing it. He's really working hard, but he's going to fall out of the lineup. Quickly's going in. Burks has been playing, if I had these 2 guys in front of me, I would say that Knox has been playing better than both Burks and Obi. But we all know that Obi and Burks are going to be in the lineup. So the guy that's going to fall out is going to be Knox.
Okay. All right. Wall Street. Big Dub Knox.
And by the way, Taj. And the only reason, Taj was great today, right? Taj scored 21 points, and he's great. But again, we can't be playing 3 centers. We can't play 3 centers. He's more of a coach. And that's probably why Tibbs gave him like 30-something minutes today, because he knows that he's not playing much.
He's gonna get 30 minutes for the whole season, bro.
So yeah. My bad, Wall
Street. What's good, buddy? Your mic. You gotta fix your mic.
Your mic's not on.
Your mic. Yeah, it's saying that it's on, but we can't hear you, brother.
Wall Street's having technical differences.
So I will say this, right? Wall Street, you good? We can't hear you. You got to change your mic. Log out, log back in. So I will say this. Quickly, I've observed the same thing about Quickly, and about Obi as well. A slow down offense is not conducive to his skill set. He's got to be an up and down team.
Yep.
A team like Phoenix, Grizzlies, a majority of the teams running in the NBA right now. But
yeah,
the offense, you're gonna see him probably do a lot better when you got when you have either basically
Quickly running point.
Kemba. When you got Kemba, and Quickly struggles. I've noticed, and I keep telling you, Quickly struggles when he has to be the point guard.
Yes, he does.
And because he's not a point guard. He's a shooting guard.
He believes himself to be a point guard, though. And because he believes himself to be a point guard, he's trying to show us and prove to us, the fans, that he is a point guard. You know, in that first game, the first preseason game, he actually had 8 assists. But then, like today, it's like clunky. You know what I'm saying? It's clunky. So
it's
weird.
Think his bread and butter is like a hybrid kind of a position, kind of like with Steph, and not necessarily saying that he's a Steph Curry. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. But you put him in a position where he doesn't have to be the sole distributor, but you give him the option. It's kind of like an option quarterback. It's like Lamar Jackson. He can run or he can pass. And you let him read the offense and you say, you know what? Okay, you go from there. And it's the same thing with Quickly. I think you kind of just have to be like, you know what? Go out there. You put him with like a Derrick Rose or somebody and you say, you know what? Read the offense. If they're giving you something, then take that. But if not, then pass it and run around, you know what I'm saying? Reset the offense. Wall Street, what's going on, brother?
Check. You hear me?
Yes.
Check. Check. 1 2 1 2.
Give us the goods, Wall Street. Give us the goods.
Check.
I'm still touching up on Ed going down the whole roster. I'm sure he missed a couple of guys that was in the G.
I didn't even talk about the guys that don't play, like the rookies.
I think that one of the standouts. I really like Alex Burke on this bench. And Alex Burke is a little bit of a journeyman. I was meaning to take a look at his career, go backwards and read up and see his stats and all the teams he's played on. I know he played on a bunch of teams. I know he did well in Utah for a little while, some teams before that. But yeah, I really like him coming off the bench. He's like an anchor. You know, I don't want to, he does a lot of the same things that a Draymond Green can do. And I don't mean like the physical things, but I mean as far as anchoring the team, coming in between guys. And I really like what I saw. We saw very few flashes of it, but the Quickly and Obi connection, I want to continue to see that grow. It's like, I kind of want to call it like a poor man Stockton to Malone. But two guys that got it done off the bench, and they got it done together in tandem. That's a great recent example was Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. They were coming off the bench and they just had that connection. So I think Quickly needs to be able to show the defense that he can distribute just as well as shoot, just as well as get to the basket. And another thing that Quickly really got to do, because Obi's on his way. I'm gonna let you know, Knox is getting run over. Anybody in front of Obi is on his way. He's really developing. He's finding his game. He has to work on his handle. But I got more faith in Obi than I do in Knox, and that's even with Knox looking a lot smoother. But so I want to see that connection, that Quickly Obi connection. I want to see, and remember we talked about this before. Quickly is still playing for the foul, and they're not letting that happen this year. And those players that don't get it through their heads, that they're not gonna let you, initiate contact and flail your arms and flop and get to the line, they just gonna look dumb. And Quickly looked a little dumb today, trying to run into people.
Yes, he did.
So trying to flail his arms and get to the free throw line. So, as far as roster is concerned, you touched it. We know more or less what the roster is going to look like. I feel like I was way off on what I thought the roster, what the starting lineup was going to look like. It looks like, we're getting RJ at the 3 and Evan Fournier at the 2. So we were both kind of wrong because I had Evan Fournier coming off the bench. You guys had Evan Fournier at the 3. And I was saying, no way RJ plays the 3. We need RJ at the 2. And we're seeing RJ at the 3 and Evan Fournier at the 2. We see how that works out. I think RJ might fit more comfortable at the 2, but we'll see how time goes on. But Alec Burke. But for me, the main takeaway is Alec Burke anchoring this bench. If he can do that, then we're gonna be a tough out. We're gonna be a tough out this year. It's not all smoke and mirrors. Okay. It's gonna be tough against us this year.
Oh, definitely. I totally agree. I would say, honestly, if you're looking at the people that's headed to the G League on this team, I think at this point it's obvious that it's gonna be the rookies. I think Quentin Grimes. I mean, honestly, we could delve into it, but after watching the first 3 games, Tibbs is just the guy that's not a development guy.
No.
So McBride, Grimes, and even this kid,
Sims.
Jericho. And they've already got him on the 2-way.
Yeah.
So it's already stated. It's like they didn't even assess 5 games or whatever. They just say, you know what, he's on a 2-way. That's it. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a redundant conversation to have at this point based on what we've seen. But do you guys feel different? I mean, is there anybody that, if rookies aside, who isn't earning their money right now? Let's put it at that. And let's start with you, Wall Street. Let's start with you. Who really isn't earning their money?
I like to think of myself as an old school basketball guy, and I like the way Tibbs think. If you're not gonna defend, then you can't do half the job for me. What's good? What's 28 points? What's 28 points gonna do for me when you gave up 32, right? So if you want to talk about Knox ain't going nowhere. Knox will find some minutes. He'll leave him there. But I think that's it. I think, if you really want to talk about the big names, who's borderline, it's probably going to be Knox. And it's just like Ed said, they just don't like him. Maybe he's going to end up like Frank Ntilikina, and we'll see what he does in Dallas. I don't know if he's played yet in the preseason or how well he's we'll see what happens with him. And maybe because I think that Obi is showing a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more grit, and that's what Tibbs likes, and I appreciate that kind of basketball. I appreciate that kind of coaching, especially if we got guys to choose from. It's not like, we're stuck with them. We're deeper this year. We're deep, and so I still think that he's gonna get a spot. I don't know what happened to Ignas Bragdakis. I thought he was going to be one.
He don't play in the NBA.
I give you 100 points for getting that name right, because I
think he plays for Germany.
I'd have filed that name up 100 times worse. Yeah. So shout out to Wall Street for getting the name correct.
Funny story. The last time I went to a Knicks game, I was sitting in the chase seats, and I was able to take the elevator where the players take the elevator, and we got in the elevator with him.
Oh,
he's actually from Westchester.
Oh, okay.
He grew up like in New York, but nice. No joke. The guy that hasn't played up, you mentioned who's not earning their money. So who got new money? Evan Fournier got new money. On paper, he's making 4 years, $80 million, right? Fourth year's a player option. So he's on a 3-year contract.
Right.
He scored 5 points today. He's making $20 million. I like his game. First and foremost, I like his game. I like the way that he shoots, and I like he kind of play makes. But he should be our shiny new toy, and he should be more consistent than what he actually showed in the last couple preseason games. Again, he played okay in the Wizards game. He was all right in the first game, and he was terrible today. After, he becomes like a bit of an afterthought, actually. You know what I'm saying? And you said it right, Wall Street. Burks came in for Evan, and that's when the offense really started, showing up and showing out. But when Evan was out there, it was a slog fest. And again, maybe because Walker wasn't there. But I don't know if he can play with – I think there's something going on with him and Julius. They haven't learned how to play together yet. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing pick and rolls. They're not playing off of each other. He's a good shooter. He shoots it well. But he hasn't been earning his cash in the preseason.
Yeah, it sounds like they need to figure out, because you paid him that money, and a guy like him with his shooting stroke, you're going to need him for the season to spread the floor. And again, I guess we have to go back to Coach Tibbs.
Man.
Got to go back to Coach Tibbs, because you look at and the stats. See, this is why Ed gets his money because the stats show everything. Look at the Wizards game. Look at tonight's game. Okay? You're going to win regardless. Like I said, you're going to win regardless. But how deep you go into the playoffs, you know what I'm saying? You either going to get, and you want to see Obi fly around the court, you play the Wizards game. If you want to see, people standing around and looking at Julius work.
You want Taj, 30-something minutes, Taj doing hook shots.
I look at the numbers. I look at what I see. And right now, what I see really, what works more for the Knicks right now with the abundance of talent that you have is you play how the Wizards play. Now, how the Knicks get Julius involved in that, there's work. And that, and that's again, we're only 3 games into the preseason.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It is what it is. But,
right.
There's a lot to see going forward. There's a lot to work on. I think the Knicks can be deeper, though. I mean, I think the Knicks can go deeper into the playoffs. But you can't have Julius being the guy working, like overworking.
He can't be dominating the ball.
Nah, he can't. It doesn't work because they zero in on him. It's like the Atlanta series all over again. They go zero in on him, get him to take bad shots, and it throws everybody else off. Yep. And it kind, he played well tonight. Julius was the man.
He was killing it tonight.
He killed it tonight, but
then so Evan to me is not showing out the way I think he should show out. Like he's okay, right?
Yeah.
And that's what people were saying. He's okay, but he wasn't worth $20 million. And now I'm kind of seeing that. It looks like he'll be good in stints where he's like shooting the ball well, and then he'll just be okay. RG's got to step it up too, man. I got, again, back to my original convo. I got a lot of high expectations, and I want him to show out. I want him 20 plus points, going to the rim, getting to the free throw line. And I'm not quite seeing that. Like we get excited he'll score like a couple threes in a row, whatever, and get a couple rebounds, a lot of assists, and we get excited. Everyone gets excited. But I want consistency. You know what I'm saying? And right now, his points are coming more so because of the minutes he's playing. He's over minutes. He played 30-something minutes today.
Yes.
But I want him to be able to do that in 25 minutes, not in 35 minutes.
Yeah. He's
only especially against the subs.
Exactly. He's only averaging 17 points in the preseason, which, he put in the work over the summer, but it's not, for some reason, it's not translating to where I thought it would be, where it would need to be. But
again, 3 games preseason.
3 games. There you go.
I'm not getting too crazy about it.
No, not at all. So we get to the news around the league, right?
The what?
We get to the news around the league. Get to the NBA news. Because the Knicks are pretty good. Totally 100% vaccinated. They're 3-0 in the preseason. Things are great right now. Things are great right now. Seriously, no drama. Shout out to Mary J.
Drama free, baby.
But you're looking at the news, and who keeps coming up but Mr. Kyrie Irving? You know what I'm saying? Mr. Flat Earther himself.
Yo.
I don't know. Listen, Ed, give your take on this, because I'm tired of Kyrie.
I'm kind of tired of Kyrie Irving too. And, I went crazy on Coach B about the whole vaccination. We all know where I stand, right? I think we should get vaccinated. It's a pandemic.
Well, I'm vaccinated.
So I was concerned that the Nets were going to let this play out and him be a half part-time player, only play on road games, definitely not playing in New York, and definitely not playing in San Fran. But the news came out that the Nets are not down with it. They told Kyrie that we're going to sit you unless you want to be a full-time member, which means you got to get vaccinated in the state of New York. And we're still going to pay you those road games because we decided to sit you. You're not going to get paid the home games because that's part of the rule. So you're going to forfeit $15 million. My man's going to forfeit $15 million because he doesn't want to get vaccinated. In today's news cycle, all sorts of news came out. Like, when he was at Duke, before you play college basketball, you have to provide all your vaccinations. He got vaccinated, and all of a sudden, news came out. Shams came out with an article today that said he's not necessarily an anti-vaxxer. He's an anti-establishment, meaning he wants to be the voice of the voiceless, and he doesn't want people to be empowered to do what they want to do, not to be forced to do things. So he's taking it on the chin. Now, taking it on the chin means $15 million this year, not to mention, like, he was due for an extension that was worth reportedly $185 million. Now the Nets are not going to offer that. Additionally, what about Kevin Durant? What about James Harden? What about the New Jersey Nets with Kyrie, Harden, and KD? No joke, 1,000,000% they were going to win a championship. I don't care what anyone was going to tell me. I knew at the end of the day, if those three guys are healthy, they're going to win the chip in remarkable fashion. Now, with just KD and Harden, I still think that the Nets are a heavy, heavy favorite, but I don't think it's I don't think it's guaranteed anymore. I think they're a top contender, but definitely not a guarantee. And if I'm KD and Kyrie talked about, hey, coming to the Nets, forming the super team, they recruited Harden. You know what I'm saying? I would feel a certain type of way. If I'm Harden, the guy that hasn't won a championship in this threesome. I'm like, yo, get yourself vaccinated, man. Come on. We made an agreement here. Again, Sham said that he wants to be the voice of the voiceless, yet we haven't heard his voice. We've heard sources on this. So it's kind of like a peculiar situation. It's actually kind of comical. Like Stephen A went off on
Jay Williams
on Jay Williams today on First Take. I was loving it. I was at work loving it. You know what I'm saying? So now it's straight up comedy to me. I'm not necessarily a Net fan, but I do want the state of New York to win a championship, and I was hoping that Brooklyn would come back with a championship. And I just think it's not classless, but it's definitely unprofessional as a basketball player. You know what I'm saying? Right. I understand his approach, and everyone has a decision to make. But again, this is a global pandemic, and we can't just think about ourselves. We got to think about us as a team, as a people, as a humanity. And I'm not sure Kyrie's down with it. So I'm out on Kyrie. And I'm sad for the Nets. I'm happy for the Knicks, for them being drama-free and being the fun-loving New York team. So that's my take.
Wall Street, do you want to address this debacle, or do you want to address another debacle, the Ben Simmons saga, which is another crazy? I mean, I don't know what's going on in the world right now. In the NBA,
the best drama on television.
It's like, gave these guys millions of dollars, and then all of a sudden people just lost their mind. What do you want to talk about, Wall Street?
So Ben is back in Philly, right? Officially signed.
Yeah, he's back after getting fined $360,000.
360K got fined
for each game he missed.
Yeah, he missed about 3 games, so he missed out like $1 million.
After losing about $1 million, so Rich Paul was like, "Yo, bro, I don't think you can continue to do this."
I don't know, man. I don't know, but if Philly stays together for another year, when you that close to breaking through, right? Like together, they're the only real thing stopping Milwaukee. Because, and I'm sorry, Ed, I haven't said enough, but the Brooklyn Nets might be one of the best regular season teams of all time, maybe, if they can get it together, if nothing happened with Kyrie and all of that. But these guys are not winning a championship. And when you get to the playoffs and you get late in the playoffs, you got nothing but dogs in front of you. And you got 3 guys, Harden, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant, None of these guys are known for defense. So these guys can't play half the game. Kevin Durant won on the coattails of a dynasty that was forming way before he got there. All right. Kevin Durant went to one of the greatest teams of all time. Kevin Durant is one of the greatest scorers of all time. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan are of the greatest basketball players of all time. There's a difference. Harden is one of the flashiest, most exciting players of all time. All right. He's not one of the Stephen Curry is one of the greatest players of all time. He destroyed numbers that you didn't even think that could possibly exist. He absolutely ripped through it. All right. But you don't talk about him in the same breath as Kobe, Jordan, and LeBron, because Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron were dogs both on defense and on offense. That's why, you know, we talk about LeBron, not KD. So, you know, with that said, Ben Simmons and company are developing, and they're developing with the creme of the creme. They're the best of the best year in, year out, year in, year out. And yeah, they can't get over the hump. But the more time you hang out up there, the more likely it is that you're going to break through. Something's going to click and you're going to have a great season. So as far as Philly is concerned, as long as there's no, you know, psychological leftovers, there's no beef on the court, they can all shake hands and get it over with, and they can play on the court, then we should be happy that that Philadelphia 76er team is back together again. Because, you know, I don't even think they're a piece away. I always think that they're a year away. They're glued. They need to glue themselves. They need to become a better team, because great teams beat great players. That's why LeBron James only has 4 rings. He's been the greatest player in the league for, what, 12 years. He got 4 rings. Why? Because great teams stood in his way. Teams like Dallas, teams like San Antonio, teams like Boston, they got in his way. So if you want a great team, you got to go through the steps. And sometimes that means being together for a long time. So, you know, Philly back in the 76ers, that's the best thing that could have happened for both parties concerned. Good for Ben, good for the 76ers. They really the only thing that's standing in the way from the East belonging completely to Milwaukee is only Philly. If Philly breaks apart, then Milwaukee is eating all of our lunch night in, night out. And that includes Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant cannot guard Giannis. He don't want no piece of Giannis.
Yeah, but Giannis can't guard Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
yes, he can. Yes, he can.
Like, at all.
All you gotta do, listen, with guys like that.
Did you watch the playoffs last
year? You didn't watch the playoffs.
You didn't watch the playoffs.
I told you this before. So I told you this before. When you play shooters like that, all you gotta do is touch them up a little bit. After 7 games, they don't like that anymore.
He didn't do any of that in the playoffs, though.
Kevin Durant was cooking Giannis.
Kevin Durant.
He was the only one that did that.
There's the reason why Kevin Durant is named the #1 player in the league. And it's not really argued. You know, there's a slight argument for Giannis just because he won the chip. But Kevin Durant is
not a slight argument. I wouldn't call that a slight argument.
Just.Hek loves two-way players, and I respect that.
The pros aren't arguing it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we're arguing it, but the players are pretty much like KD.
KD's #1.
They're the ones saying it, and if they're saying it, I mean, you know, you can't really argue it. You can't really argue it, especially if LeBron is like, nah, that's the guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know, man. I mean, listen, I think he's the guy. I think it's him or Giannis. You know what I'm saying? I think it's 1A, 1B, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, Kevin Durant's not the guy,
but they do it two different ways. Yeah. Like Kevin Durant,
listen,
Wall Street's, you know, Kevin Durant does it by scoring. Man. Like cooking you to death. While Giannis will get his 20 points
and muscle
you up, but play severe defense on you. The only problem with Giannis is when the game gets tight and they need a bucket, he has to pass it to Middleton. On the Nets case, when the game gets tight, you know, and they need a bucket, KD's taking that 3.
Yeah.
And if KD was one shoe size lower than what he is, they would have went to the finals and won the championship, even without Kyrie. But that said, so the fundamental, Hector, what you were basically saying is that you believe that when a team is strong on offense and defense, they're a better team. I think fair. That's fair. That's old school mentality. You old, bro.
Totally.
You old. The new way of thinking is you could guard me up, but I'm gonna score more points than you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And that's what the Nets do.
I will say this though.
That's what D'Antoni thought.
Yeah, when it comes down to he put
his whole career on the line using that philosophy.
And it never worked for him. Right. You're right, Wall Street. And I think when it comes down to like when you get to the final round, you have to play both sides. You have to play defense.
Absolutely.
You know
the later it gets,
and it shows. The later it gets.
Listen, I tell you, teams like that, they become the greatest regular season teams of all time. It's fun to watch. Look at James Harden. When you look at the numbers, let me tell you something. James Harden is the worst MVP out of every MVP to ever walk. When you look at the numbers, he's the best. Think about it.
Got the hot takes tonight.
Think about that. If you put James Harden against any other MVP to ever walk the earth, James Harden's numbers are much better. They're much better. They're legendary. But come on, man. You know what James Harden does when it's time.
But defenses have evolved. Like, defense is not just about me locking you up, Heck. Defense is about the team defense. And yeah, maybe he's not the strongest man-to-man defender, but he could be a good team defender. You know what I'm saying? So he gets a lot of steals off of back cuts and things like that. Maybe he couldn't guard a point guard or shooting guard, but that's okay because, he would draw them in and then his center would come in and push out. So coaches have kind of like strategized around being poor man-to-man defenders, but you can't have more than two of those guys on a team at the same time on the court. You know what I'm saying? So, again, we mentioned it earlier, Golden State, Steph Curry, he ain't the best. I could probably drive past him. But they got Draymond Green, who is the best, and makes that team a much better team because they got a defensive anchor. When Harden was with Houston, they had Capella, you know what I'm saying? And now that he's with the Nets, they got one of the young guys that plays center now, not the Andre Jordan who was shipped off to the Lakers, but the other guy. I forget his name, but they got some anchors, you know what I'm saying? They got Bruce Brown, who's also a very good defensive player, undersized at that.
Mr. Florida.
Yeah, exactly. So defenses in the new modern age have kind of like upped their game a little bit, where coaches have learned to work with players on defensive strategies. Going back to the Knicks, I'm not sure that Tibbs has really embraced that aspect. He's more in your line of thinking, Wall Street. He wants every player on the court to be a strong man-to-man defender. And going to the Evan Fournier point, Evan Fournier is not a good, strong man-to-man defender. And I can see Evan Fournier not playing at not part of the closing lineup on a game in, game out basis. And unfortunately, because Kyrie's not playing for the Nets this year, maybe if he doesn't get vaccinated, I can't prove to you that a better offense will always be the better defense. And I wish I could. Now, if the Nets do win the championship, then that's it. That's the end of that argument.
Can I give you an interesting number? Think the greatest three-point shooter of all time. What was probably his average?
Steph Curry. 36.2. 36.2. Right?
So it's one of those fail more than you succeed type things. So you're betting that 36% will win out every time.
Well, Steph shot 43%.
Or 43%, whatever it is. It's still lose over win. You're still betting when it's crunch time. I'm betting that my defense should be able to get a stop before my offense. I'd rather have a team that in the last 2 minutes we could get a stop, because good defense leads to good offense. It leads to. So it goes back to the exception and the rule, man. The Golden State Warriors and the Dame Lillard era is it is what it is. but a basketball is decided by the team that gets the most layups.
Well, to also prove your point, Wall Street, the Knicks made the playoffs. Golden State didn't. So, I mean,
the Knicks made the playoffs, but didn't advance in the playoffs.
That's true too. Counterpoint taken.
And
lost to
the Hawks were the better offensive team, but they did have a defensive anchor in Capella. And the Knicks were the better defensive team, and we all said, "Oh, the Knicks are going to run by. We're going to," and we realized in that series that offense is better than defense. Now, you know why? Because of the advent of the three-point shot. Back in the day, back in the 90s, back in the 2000s, people were taking 20, 25 three-pointers. Now they're taking 50, 45, 50. And you're right, Wall Street. If you average, if your field goal percentage on the three is like 35%, and your field goal percentage on the twos are like, 55.
So we got Ed freezing. Ed's frozen. But case in point, I mean, you look at situations. So Ed's trying to come back in. We'll figure him out in a minute. I think the Zoom call froze him on purpose.
I was thinking the same thing.
So what I will say is this, right? And I want to go back to, I want to talk about the two players that we have, right? We got Ben Simmons and you have Kyrie Irving. Those two guys right there are going to make the next CBA super hard. Okay, like the next CBA, players' rights are gonna get revoked. Not all of them, but they're definitely gonna come down on those contracts. They're definitely gonna come down on like guys trying to force their way out of teams. There's gonna be a strike. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't see how, the owners, with everything that they've gone through.
I'm back.
Hey, Ed, I was just talking about Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons basically making the next CBA a slaughterhouse for the owners. Like it's
ruining it. They're ruining it for all the players, man.
The owners are going to win it, and because the madness that Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving are wrecking on their individual teams, and showing the rest of the league like. Ben Simmons he's got 4 years left on his contract. And for him to, right, exactly, it's laughable. But for him to be like, oh, I won out. And it's like, wait, but you signed a contract. You know what I'm saying? That's like a guy coming to fix your roof. And then he's like, oh, well, I just don't want to do it, but you're going to pay me. And he walks off on the job. You're going to be like, no, you better get back here and fix my roof. Oh, you know what I'm saying? It's really going to put the owners in the position, and the people's court are already leading. They're already looking at players and they're like, yo, this guy's he's willing to leave $15 million on the floor because he doesn't want to get vaccinated. Meanwhile, my job where I make $15 an hour, you know what I'm saying, wants me to get vaccinated, and for me to keep bread on my food on my table, I gotta get vaccinated. This guy is just like, oh, it's a crazy. We're in a really interesting place, and I don't think that when LeBron made his moves towards player empowerment, that this is what we were talking about. That this is what we were guiding towards. I don't think this is where it's at. To be honest with you,
and
I don't know, but at the end of the day, we are where we are. I definitely applaud the Knicks for being 100% vaccinated and for being the less drama team for the first time in years. You
Seriously.
know what I'm saying?
Yo. One more point. Non-basketball, but sports related.
Okay.
What about Gruden and those emails? Oh my God.
What a dummy.
What are you doing?
I didn't see that either, yo. I've been running around.
The coach of the Raiders.
Yeah.
Basically, the league is doing an investigation on Washington Football Club because of like all sorts of like,
Yeah.
more like sexual harassment claims. So what they were doing was they had an investigator checking out Washington's emails, all the emails that were going in and out of the Washington Football Club. Well, the coach of the Raiders today, was the coach, Gruden, he worked for the NFL. He was an analyst on television.
Yeah, I know.
And he was emailing his buddy on the Washington team with
God.
all sorts of racial, misogynist,
he called the players
gay-hating
union,
comments, man.
He called the players union president rubber lips. What? And he put it in an email.
And then those, nothing got leaked out of the Washington emails, but this guy, the Raiders coach emails got leaked. And
he said racist things.
Oh yeah.
Rubber lips.
Loads of racist things.
Rubber lips.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to have to do it, but dude, he
talked about everything. There's also
the
like
guy he was talking about is African American. Okay.
Yeah.
They called him rubber lips.
I got you.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what the messed up part of that is? That one comment, that racist comment, he could have still skated by that. It was when he was talking about homosexuality that kind of got him. They found that one comment about, about DeMar Smith's lips, and he apologized, but he assumed that would be it. He thought that would die down. And then they found a whole slew of other emails. And he actually has the first openly gay player on his team. And he kind of mentioned, that in his emails that, National Football League is not for homosexuals, not for trans, he went off, and that's what really got him. And that's why he got fired. So, and then all sorts of other football players that used to play from were like, I knew he was a fakester from the get-go. This has been an incredible week for sports. Like all the drama, Ben, Kyrie, Gruden, this is the best.
That's crazy. Because for me, before you told me that, if you would have told me John Gruden, I would have thought one of the dopest TV personalities, head coaches, champion, Super Bowl champ. How could you be racist in the NFL? That's crazy.
Yeah, he was in a Hall of Fame for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was like in a Ring of Honor. They took him off the Ring of Honor.
I mean, but you look at the structure of the NFL. How do you think it's not racist? You think that's the only email that's out there? No.
I mean, amongst owners, maybe I would have thought definitely amongst owners, but coaching, that's a sacred relationship, bro.
That's
a white coach though.
But who do you think is managing the guys in the field?
You're right. You're right.
I mean, come on, bro.
Yeah.
And this is some I was told, and I'm gonna say this. I'm half African American. I was taught this at an early age, and I was just like, oh, you're bugging. You're too pro-black. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this, I don't get it. And then as I got older and I looked at the structure of the NFL and the fact that you get hurt, you can get fired. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that goes back, you read a textbook, brother.
Yeah.
Slave goes down. What did they do? They put him out of his misery. Treat him like
the NFL is the worst league to be a professional athlete. Like if for your son, Hector, don't have him playing football, bro, because there's non-guaranteed contracts. The only thing guaranteed in the NFL is your bonus. Everything else is like basically non-guaranteed. To Hector's point, we all come from African American roots, African reality, right? And when the majority of your players are like, when the 85+% of your players are one race, and management, 85% of management and the owners are another race, you're going to have inherent racism. That's where, now tying this back into the NBA, one thing that LeBron did do was player empowerment. And that's tying that back into Kyrie. That's the problem with what he's doing. Him and Ben Simmons, they're like ruining this player empowerment. And then the owners are going to be like, you see, we should be like the NFL.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
So it's all like, it's a delicate balance. You know what I'm saying? We can't go one way all the way and not the other. We have a balance in place. The NBA has that balance, a better balance. The NFL is terrible. The NFL it's an ancient sport, mismanaged. Yeah. I'm glad that all this is coming out, and they really need to really work on everything. They should be looking towards the NBA to what needs to be done. And furthermore, the Knicks have been a model citizenship this year. just to put a little bow on everything.
Put a little bow on everything.
Don't put a jinx on it. You get J.R. Smith will get a 10-day contract.
Right? Oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great show. Thank y'all for watching Wall Street with the hot takes. Know what I'm saying?
Offense better than defense, Paul.
Ed Dollars with the stats.
Yeah, baby.
I've been
PER, I didn't even throw out the PER, by the way, because James Harden probably had the highest PER in the history of NBA during that MVP season. But I let you rock, Wall Street. I let you rock.
Worst MVP ever.
We'll save it for the next
week.
Show. We'll save it for the next show. But fellas, it's been real. Great show. Thank y'all for watching. Wall Street Heck, Ed Dollars, Just.Hek. We out of here.
Just.Hek, man. Thanks so much.
Surviving the Knicks, STK.
STK, baby.
We'll be on.
We don't survive. Video. You survive the Knicks. We don't survive the drama. Drama free.
That's right. There we go. Go New York. Go New York. Go.
New York forever.
Peace.